Welcome to Rogers TV. I'm Sarah Love, and I'm here with the lovely Jenn Salo and Coco. How are you doing, Jen?
We're doing great, thanks.
Excellent. How about you, Coco? Perfect. He's doing fantastic. Or she's doing fantastic, I should say. So we are here, as you can see behind me, at Chippewa Wildlife Park. And if you don't know Jen yet, I find that really hard to believe if you live in Thunder Bay, because Jen is taking on a monumentous task, and I have to give her big credit, because I don't know how you do it, because this girl is a trooper. And what are you doing out here, Jen? You are running, you created Thunderbird Wildlife Rescue.
Yes. So when I first started this many years ago, it was because I felt that there was a lack of any sort of help for wildlife in our area. There was no wildlife rescues. The only rescues that existed prior to me were in southern Ontario. And that is a really long way for something that's critically injured or sick to travel to be able to receive help. So it was a need in the northwestern region here in Ontario. And so I did my best to try to start a wildlife rescue here.
And this is the home of the old Chippewa Zoo that was run by the city, which closed quite a few years ago, and Jen was able to get a lease for part of the space. Yeah. And you're trying real hard to get it up and running to be able to save all these wonderful creatures in our area here. So why don't you tell us about like the space, where you're at now, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. So a lot of people do recognize that this is the old wildlife park. We don't have the entire space. We are only leasing a small portion of it. One of the pens that was still in good shape, that still was fully fenced, and it had the flight pens that previously held bald eagles in it. So I thought that that would be a great place to start. It has a couple acres of space that's completely fenced in, so I figured that we could put smaller species-specific enclosures inside that space to be able to address more of the need for wildlife rescue here in the north. We are standing in the Whitetailed Deer Pen, and this is one of the areas that I leased off of the city. We cleaned up the area last fall, and I hope to put several smaller species-specific enclosures within this area, and these will all be pre-release enclosures. Over there, you see the giant monstrosity that is the flight pens. In the past, bald eagles have been kept in this area, but it's not suitable for wildlife rehabilitation because wildlife cannot come in contact with chain link fence. It moved from being a priority to get the flight pens done to something that's now lower priority because of just how much money it would cost to get those enclosures up to standards. So right now we're going to focus on the easier things of cleaning this enclosure up and putting the species-specific pens in. Having the main building functioning as the intake and the first stages of recuperation and rehabilitation, and then they would move to pre-release enclosures in here. And so we really hope to utilize the space. We still have to work on making things more predator proof. Each enclosure that needs to go in here has to be predator proof. That is one of the biggest problems we've run into at this place, is the predator problem. Like, it's just ridiculous how many predators are in this little area. And the irony of having to keep wildlife safe from wildlife, so it's taken a lot of work and a lot of trial and error to figure out what's going to work in these spaces. So this enclosure here is for our livestock that we grow here at Chippewa. Most people who live in Thunder Bay don't really consider us as a remote city, but when it comes to the rest of Ontario, we are pretty remote. So being able to purchase large volumes of food, such as quails, mice, and rats, and stuff like that, is very costly. So I decided that it would be more beneficial to the rescue and to everything that we have going on here to grow our own food as much as possible. This would offset the costs, but it would also gives us the opportunity to know exactly how the animals were raised, how they were cared for, what medications went into them. You know, like you don't really know any of this information when you're buying bulk from big production farms in Southern Ontario or wherever else that we would have to order from. So being able to grow it here is crucial to the success of our rescue. So this building here, it is not complete yet. We have used a lot of repurposed materials from a building that the Humane Society had donated to us. We're making it as predator proof as possible. It's not finished yet, but it will be soon. And you know, like that's one of the things that's been holding us up, because I've had to move all of our livestock into our main building to keep them safe from the local predators. So once this is complete and once we move all the livestock in here, then we can move on to absolutely cleaning out the main building, finishing the rest of the last little bits of renovations that need to be done in that building. And then we are well on our way to being ready for our M&R inspection. Wildlife rescues in Ontario are not government funded. We are not funded by anybody but the public. I find it incredibly unfair, to tell the truth. You know, like we have to be absolute experts at the field of taking care of wildlife. We have to go through hours and hours, years of training to be able to do so. We are highly regulated by M&R and by the federal government, yet wildlife rehabbers in the province are not given any sort of financial support whatsoever. Every single rescue that is in Ontario is donation run and, you know, like volunteer run. It takes a village and the community in order to accomplish something like this for our wildlife. So, you know, like this has really been a labor of passion for myself. I don't get paid for what I do. I work extremely long hours. I don't get weekends. I don't get evenings. I don't get holidays. But I'm doing the absolute best I can to, you know, accommodate the need for wildlife rescue here in the north.
Now, before we started this interview, Daniela and I behind the camera, we got a little tour of the space. Thank you for that, to help us kind of understand what's happening here. And a lot of you watching this are probably thinking, why isn't it open yet? What's going on? I want to come see it, or I want to, you know, I want to know that things are happening. But you've been kind of running into a few roadblocks. Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about what those are and how they specifically can help?
Well, our first and major roadblock is money. We don't have enough money to do the renovations that need to be done in order to bring this space up to standards for wildlife rehabilitation. So it's been a struggle. We've been fundraising as much as we possibly can. In the last year, we got our license and approval to hold 50-50 lottery. And, you know, like that's bringing in much needed funds, but with the 50-50 money, it has very specific rules on what the money can be spent on. So like daily operations, vet bills and stuff like that are not covered from the 50-50 money. We're putting majority of that towards renovating the space and the main building. You know, we're working really hard to get this all accomplished, but it's been an uphill battle the entire way.
Right. And that's where we're kind of calling on our viewers here across Northwestern Ontario to think about your organization, what you're doing, and support this much needed nonprofit here. The space, there's some parts of it that need renovations, that need tearing down or rebuilding, but they can't do it. It needs to be contractor, right?
Correct. So in order for us to get the things accomplished that desperately need to be accomplished in this place, we have to hire a contractor that has WSIB, that has their own insurance, in order to be able to, in effect, make the changes that we need to make. So it's been a struggle because it's very costly to do anything these days, and like even the price of building materials alone has skyrocketed just in the last 3 years, right? So you know, like we fundraise our butts off, but it doesn't go very far. So it's been a lot of, we get as much done as we can with the money that we have available, but I'm also still rescuing animals around all the building and renovations. You know, there's day-to-day operations, there's taking care of our beautiful wildlife ambassadors. You know, education's a huge part of what we do as well. So we also take time to go and visit schools and organizations and bring our lovely ambassadors with us to teach about wildlife and why it's important to, you know, preserve and conserve what we have.
Yeah, and there's so many, we could sit here for hours and talk about all the stuff that they're doing, and I would like to, if Jen's okay with it, to kind of keep doing an update with her monthly and just doing a check-in and seeing what we could do to support how the community can support Jenn and her organization. They've had tons of volunteers come out and offer up their support, just regular folks just willing to you know, get a shovel or something and support with the contracting. But like Jenn said, they have to be they have to have WSIB and all those things. So it is important that they do things properly, and they work with the city and with the M&R and things like that. So we really just want to support. It's such a good idea and so needed. This group here, Jenn's group, they're small. They're just grassroots. There's just a couple of them. One of the things they are looking for, or a few things they're looking for, are volunteers that can do things like grant writing. It's not just helping out, it's cleaning, grant writing. What are some of the other things?
Well, we need help with, you know, like our website and website development, grant writing, sponsorship. You know, like we do have an amazing team of people working behind the scenes that are board members of Thunderbird Wildlife Rescue now, and I want to say amazing thank you to all of them as well, because they've all worked really hard to get the rescue to where it is today. But we still have so much work to do. We've been really struggling with grant writing. Again, you know, like there's only so much of my time, and I'm spread so thin between, you know, actually attending to rescues, bringing them to their vet appointments and feeding everything and doing the renovations. So I'm already stretched as thin as I can go. So we do need help in those kind of things.
Jenn's a mom of two as well, two beautiful girls, and she's doing tons of awesome stuff in the community. So if the viewers can help, what can they do? Where do they go? Is there social media? Like, what's the contacts? What do they do?
Well, there are two easy ways to support our organization. You can purchase 50/50 tickets, and that will help towards the building costs and renovations that need to be accomplished here before we can start taking in more than just raptors. And then there's our general fund that you can donate to through Canada Helps. That is our platform that seems to be the easiest to make donations, as it issues automatic tax receipts for each donation that's given. So that's been extremely helpful. But we need more support, as much help as we can possibly get. You know, like just the day-to-day operations, the vet bills, the feed bills are incredibly high. We're doing the absolute best we can. I keep taking in rescues. You know, it's been a steady stream of rescues already this spring, and I don't see that slowing down anytime soon. If anything, it's going to get even more busy because we are just starting baby season right now.
And I have a ton of questions, but we're going to do another check-in with Jenn, and we're going to talk about the animals that she does help and all this. I read her posts all the time. There's a ton of questions, and there's a ton of calls that she gets, and you do have to repeat yourself quite a bit. But it's she'd love to be able to help everybody and everything. But
Yes.
Coco. Coco wants to say something too, right, Coco? Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jenn. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap up?
Just thank you to the community for the continued support. I wouldn't be able to do any of this without the support, so it's been huge. It's what keeps me going every day. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Rogers TV.